So it's early 2026, and the American economy is, well, it's a real puzzle. I mean, on paper, things look fantastic. The engine is roaring. But then you talk to actual people, you look at the surveys, and something is just off. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to unpack this great disconnect.
And that really gets us to the heart of the matter, right? The economy is supposedly booming. So why does everyone feel so lousy about it? And look, you can see this paradox in the numbers, clear as day. On one side, you've got this hard data, real GDP growing at an insane 4.4% in late 2025. But on the other side, consumer confidence, it's in the tank. We're talking the lowest it's been since 2014. So how can both of these things be true at the same time? It just doesn't add up. To figure this out, we've got to play detective. Let's start looking for some clues.
Okay, clue number one in this whole mystery? It's something we've all been living with. The stubborn ghost of inflation.
All right, here's the thing you absolutely have to understand. Yeah, we keep hearing that inflation is falling. And technically, that's true. But that doesn't mean prices are going back to what they were. No way. It just means they're going up a little bit slower now. So for you, for me, for the average person at the grocery store or the gas pump, that cumulative hit from the last few years, it's still there. It's like a massive price hangover that just won't go away.
Let's dive into the actual numbers for a sec. The big headline number, CPI, is at 2.7%. And you know, that sounds okay, right? It's getting closer. But you dig a little deeper and look at services. We're talking about things like getting your car fixed, a haircut, your insurance bill. That stuff is still stuck above 3%. And that is the sticky, stubborn part of inflation that the Fed just can't seem to shake.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. The president of the St. Louis Fed, a guy named Alberto Musalem, he said it himself. He was like, look, goods and housing are cooling off, but services inflation, it's just stuck. And that's what's really keeping the squeeze on people's budgets. All right, so that brings us to clue number two. And this one is all about the job market, which is, frankly, it's just weird right now. Experts have a term for it, a low hire, low fire reality. Get ready for this number because it is just staggering. In the entire year of 2025, the U.S. economy only added 584,000 jobs. That's it. I mean, to put that in context for you, if you take out the big recession years, that is the slowest pace of job growth we have seen since way back in 2003. The hiring machine has basically ground to a halt. And if you zoom in on just December of 2025, the picture gets even clearer, or, well, gloomier. Just 50,000 jobs added. The momentum is just gone. And that creates this feeling of stagnation for anyone who's working or looking for work. So you might be thinking, okay, if hiring is so bad, where are all the layoffs? And that's a great question. The answer is this really interesting idea called labor hoarding. Think about it. Companies have this painful memory of how hard it was to find workers after the pandemic. So now they are desperately holding on to the people they already have, even if business is slowing down. They're scared to fire, but they're even more scared to hire. And this right here, this gets to the absolute core of why people feel so bad, so insecure. The fear isn't just about, am I going to get a pink slip tomorrow? It's about feeling completely and totally stuck. It's that nagging thought that if you did lose your job, or maybe you just want a better one, there's nothing out there. The doors are all closed. And that feeling, that lack of opportunity, that creates a really deep sense of economic anxiety.
Okay, so as if sticky inflation and a weird job market weren't enough, we've got two gigantic wildcards being thrown onto the table at the exact same time.
Right now, the economy is basically being pulled in two different directions by these huge, almost experimental forces. You've got this massive government tax cut on one side and this world-changing tech revolution with AI on the other. It's a lot.
So first, let's talk about the government's play here. It's called the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Yeah, OBBBA for short, and it is just a massive injection of cash into the economy. It keeps the 2017 tax cuts going, it gives huge breaks for businesses to invest, and it even makes tips and overtime tax-free for a lot of people. Seriously, we are talking trillions of dollars being pushed into the system. And just to make that real for you, when people are filing their 2025 taxes, like right now, this bill is expected to boost the average refund by about $1,000. That's real money going into people's pockets designed to keep them spending.
Okay, so while all that's happening, you've got this AI supercycle exploding in the private sector. It's fueling just unbelievable profit growth for the big S&P 500 companies. In fact, AI accounted for a full third of all GDP growth last year. A third. But, and this is a huge but, all those amazing productivity gains, they haven't really trickled down yet. We're not seeing it in wages or in new jobs for most people. Not yet, anyway.
So, let's recap. You've got high prices, a frozen job market, a monster tax cut, and an AI revolution all swirling around at the same time. So, what happens now? What does all this lead? Well, experts have mapped out 3 possible futures for the U.S. economy. Let's walk through them.
All right, so economists have crunched the numbers, they've looked at all the clues, and here's what they think is most likely. The frontrunner, at about a 45% chance, is this scenario they're calling re-acceleration. But there's also a pretty good chance of a much better future, the productivity boom, and a scarily high chance of a much worse one, good old stagflation.
So, what does this re-acceleration scenario, the most likely one, actually feel like? The best way to think about it is a jobless recovery. The economy as a whole keeps growing, maybe around 2.2%, which is fine, but inflation just stays stubbornly high, around 2.7%, and the job market just stays stuck. It's stagnant. The Fed might give us a rate cut or two, but for most people, it's just going to feel, sluggish, even though the big numbers say we're growing.
Okay, now for the good news. The upside case. This is the productivity boom. This is what happens if AI really is the game changer everyone hopes it is, and it happens fast. Suddenly, all this new tech makes businesses way more efficient. That could actually solve our inflation problem, which would let the Fed cut rates faster, and boom, GDP growth could surge past 2.5%. This is the everything goes right scenario. And then there's the downside, the scary one, real, honest-to-goodness stagflation. This is the future where that terrible consumer confidence we talked about at the beginning finally hits a breaking point. People just stop spending. GDP would crater to below 1%. But because of a policy mess-up or some global shock, inflation stays high. That would be the worst of all worlds. It would force the Fed to keep interest rates sky high, basically strangling what's left of the economy.
So that brings us right back to where we started. You've got this incredibly powerful economic engine, supercharged with tech and tax cuts, putting up huge numbers. And then you have the actual people, the ones who are supposed to be driving that engine, feeling more worried and insecure than they have in a decade. So I guess the biggest question for 2026 and beyond is a simple one. Can this powerful engine and the people it's supposed to serve finally get back in sync?